Morning, Karen.
Good morning, Sharon.
This call is being recorded.
Good morning, everyone. We welcome you to our Sunday morning roundtable. Plainfield Christian Science Church Independent, Plainfield, New Jersey, the United States of America. This morning is Sunday, April 9th, 2017. And our subject today is Are Sin, Disease, and Death Real? Golden text, Psalm 27. The Lord is my light and my salvation. Whom shall I fear? The Lord is the strength of my life. Of whom shall I be afraid? Now, just a moment before we get started. I guess in the Christian world, today is Palm Sunday, and perhaps some of you have heard bombings of some Christian churches in Egypt. This time is notoriously known as an Antichrist period, the time before the belief of the crucifixion, and we as scientists must handle it and neutralize it. Many of us, for years really, have felt it more intensely at this time, the hatred of the Christ. It's not the truth. It's a mortal mind belief, but it would seem to be in mortal mind atmosphere, and it must be seen for what it is and neutralized. Mrs. Eddy speaks about it in Science and Health, and she says that Antichrist thought what it tried to do to Jesus only raised him up to a zenith point, raised him up higher, didn't it? And proved to all his enemies that there is no such thing as sin, disease, or death. Anyone want to comment?
I read something this morning from Martha Wilcox. It's just a very short paragraph, if I could just share that with you.
Please.
There is nothing external to consciousness to change or to deal with or to be afraid of. There is no time, no waiting for things to be better, no process by which to make them better. There is nothing going on outside of consciousness, and all that is going on as consciousness is mind, consciously being man, and the universe. That's on page 41 of her addresses.
Thank you very much. And that's the truth, and that's where we hold the line in our consciousness. All right, anyone would like to comment? We could teach for hours on the Bible section. We already had an hour yesterday. But anyone want to say anything about the Bible section, responsive reading of this week's lesson? What did you write in the forum, Gary?
Well, the idea that, if a problem confronts us, and there's an article about this featured on the cover page of the website. When an article confronts you, what's your initial response? Do you complain? Or do you thank God for the opportunity to correct something? this idea of having a positive expectancy. Jesus implored people, be not afraid, weep not. But before he raised Lazarus from the dead, he thanked God. This positive expectancy really is essential for healing. And why? Because if you're not expecting God to be in control, then you don't have a basis for a healing. Then you're still lost in the mire. So this is really, it took me years to get to where I could see that if I don't have a positive expectation in the face of whatever problem comes at me, then I'm sunk. And it requires this positive expectation in order to let God in order to let the truth in. And as scientists, there's no choice.
Yeah, I thought that was so comforting, the things that Jesus said in this week's lesson. Son, be of good cheer, to the man sick of palsy. Here he is, barely alive, but son, he called him son. Such love, and be of good cheer. Thy sins are forgiven thee. He knew immediately that this man had sins that needed to be forgiven, as all of us do. It was of such comfort. And then the woman who lost her son, again, he had such compassion. Weep not. So, when we are confronted with any problem, remember this love and this compassion, because that's what heals. And again, over and over and over in the Bible, fear not. I sometimes have thought that no matter what happens, we have a safety net. Because, even if your worst scenario comes upon you, the worst possible thing you could ever think of, and Lord knows we probably all do that to ourselves, well, you're going to find out sooner or later that it wasn't true. You're going to wake up out of it. So that's why fear not. Go beyond your worst scenario to the awakening, to that part. Because look what happened to Jesus. We talk about worst scenario, right? Worst scenario. What worst thing could happen to anybody? And yet, right beyond that was the resurrection morn, the proof that we are indeed the sons and daughters of God, and nothing but His love has ever touched us. So, live your life now as the resurrection morn, not in fear of what might happen, or crying because you think it's going to happen, but in peace and serenity of mind, because you know if it's not of God, it can never really touch you. It just can't. You'll find it out sooner or later. So why not sooner and later? And I love that Psalm 27. He's, again, a host, a camp against me. My heart shall not fear. Though war should rise against me, in this will I be confident. The worst thing's happening, and still not to fear. And Bruce wrote about it on the forum, and I love this thought. One thing have I desired of the Lord. Go ahead, Bruce.
He stated in 3 parts that he would dwell in the house of the Lord all his days, behold the beauty of the Lord, and to inquire in his temple. And I also have been comforted numerous times by this passage. If there I ever thought that I wanted to go somewhere and do something or have something, out of David's one desire, to stay close to God and feel that he is close to us, and he most certainly is. The desire to have an acknowledgement and a feeling that it is true is such a sanctifying place. And to behold God's beauty, it's all around us everywhere. We just open our eyes and be receptive to it. And to inquire in his temple, I can't tell you how many times I've asked other people for their opinions and thinking that was going to guide me, and just to be very sadly disappointed. What is better than anything else is that spiritual sense that God speaks to us through. That is the unmistakable guidance and our Savior. David obviously knew it. He was known as a warrior king. He did a lot of fighting. He had many victories. But he knew where his strength came from, and he had the humility to acknowledge it and to follow it as best he saw the light. He left us his legacy here in Psalm 27. What a precious psalm this is.
It is so beautiful. Go ahead.
Yeah, and today, we're called upon to be warriors. It may not be a battle with guns or arrows or spears, but it's a battle against false beliefs, a battle against spiritual wickedness in high places, a battle against, inhumanity. So we've got a lot of battles that we are called upon to fight, and the battle is the Lord's. That's the key to the whole thing.
So in Gary's testimony on Wednesday, we get up in the morning, you wonder what you have to do during the day. You can think about, well, this is what you have to do during the day. This is your one desire, and that is to dwell in God's house. The 91st Psalm, dwell in that secret place of the Most High. Behold his beauty, to see him operating in everything, everywhere, and to inquire in his temple, to have a deep desire to know more of the Father, and to yearn to know him more. And then it goes on, and I love that, the teach me thy way, O Lord, and lead me in the plain path. If you're ever confused, because people will tell you, well, you should do this, that, or the next thing, so you don't listen to people, because God will lead you in that plain path. Mrs. Eddy says, it's in Collectanea, I know, but you can't have two right places to be. There's only the one right place. So there's never any of this conflict. Well, should I be here? Should I be there? Or, my mother wants me to do this, or my father wants me to do something else, humanly speaking. Because your one Father, Mother, God, has one right place for you. The path is plain and clear. And when you are in that rhythm with him, you will know where you should be, and you will be at peace about it. I think cried. Go ahead, Lawrence.
No, I think here, Mrs. Eddy and also Bicknell Young, what they say about day is so important, and it's very helpful. That day is the unfolding of God's plan for me. So I can't be afraid that I will miss something that I should do. Rather, it would make you go where you need to go, do all the things that you need to do, and leave out all the other things that you think you have to do, or the places you think you have to go.
Yes.
That has been so helpful for me. 'Cause I used to, wake up, I got to do this, got to do that. And most of it is not necessary for that day.
Absolutely, it is not. That is the human will. That's also accretion instead of unfoldment. And what is the definition of accretion? Building up.
Just
Adding,
piling on.
piling on, adding on.
Keeping matter upon matter.
Yes, you were willfully adding on or willfully thinking you have to do this, that, or the next thing, or buy this, that, or the next thing, or however else you want to add on, rather than having it unfold as a demonstration from God.
And that unfolding, it says, is in calmness, a perfect arrangement, and harmony. I mean, what could be better than that?
Yes. What could be better than that? And Jeremy, what did you write about on the form?
Well, I was thinking about how it says, I will uphold thee with the right hand of my righteousness, and I got thinking about how a handshake is originated as gesture of peace, basically showing you don't have a sword in your hand, and thinking about him holding our hand, then it started making sense to me why it's called the sword of truth. He's holding our hand, he's truth, and so it just helped me to understand that, and then meeting those claims with that truth and love and life at all times becomes easier. And something that was in the lesson a while ago about not putting down these tools that we have. I really like that idea. Always using tools. Always using the sword of truth.
Yes. Remember, you always have your work to do for God, and you must never put that tool down. You're always working it. And the sword in the other hand, which is handling the beliefs of error. So, and then Isaiah 41, which I know I've given to many of you, that 10 to 13, fear thou not. If you have fear in your life, you work with this. I have it Xerox. I have it clipped to my full text. I have it by my desk as an often reminder. It's something that has to be handled in every claim. And as I've told you, Mrs. Eddy had them handle it in the morning watch every morning, because she couldn't operate in a home that had fear in it. And it's interesting, I spoke yesterday about these two books that were sent to us from our friend David Keaston. One was the Smiley book. The other was the Gilman book, James Gilman, and Recollections of Mary Baker Eddy. And the beginning of it is a foreword by our dear friend Gilbert Carpenter. And he always has so many good things to say. And he starts out that Gilman made the comment about when he first met Mrs. Eddy, how young she looked, or how, maybe I forget the wording, but kind of young and inexperienced or something to that degree. So Carpenter wrote a whole chapter on the fact that Mrs. Eddy was quite aware that without God she was what? Nothing. Weak, nothing. But with God, she was a mighty power. So, at times, if you struggle with fear or weakness or other things, don't let that make you think that that's some horrible thing. You can use that to your advantage. In fact, God does use that, doesn't He? It's the know-it-alls who think they know everything and can do everything and are in control and are never afraid of anything that God can't reach. Can He? not when they're in that state. So don't be impressed with that. I was greatly touched in reading this by Carpenter, and I don't have the quote with me, but it's a quote I love, where Mrs. Eddy says, as Mary Baker Eddy, the human, she was the weakest of mortals on earth. But as the discoverer and founder of Christian Science, she is the bone and sinew of the world. So in weakness, you are made strong if you allow it. And you think of all the ones who were chosen by God. Moses, what was his response when God tapped him on the shoulder? Couldn't do it.
Couldn't speak.
He couldn't speak.
They won't believe me. Who am I?
What about
I'm
Gideon?
nothing.
Nothing.
Least in my house.
Least in my house.
Gideon was the poorest of the poor, hiding to keep the things for them so he could just survive another day.
Jeremiah. I am but a child. Who am I to speak? So that is the state of grace that God uses. Go ahead, Florence.
No, I'm thinking is the know-it-all attitude that rather separates you from God more than the I am nothing, which makes you closer. I'm thinking when I was so afraid, I used to be so afraid, I would go on walks, and what you just mentioned, Jeremy, about being with Him, I would just think to myself, no, my hand is in your hand. I just had to bring that just to make sure, that I am feeling this, that I am not alone. I am here. My hand is in your hand. I am walking with you. And all that did help in those times.
Thank you. Yes. Yes, and that's why this description in this, Isaiah 41, he says, I'll hold your hand. Fear not, I am with thee. Be not dismayed. I am thy God. I will strengthen thee. I will help thee. I will uphold thee with the right hand of my righteousness. So that's why you can't work with this too often. You think about it all the time. He is with you. He's strengthening you. He's upholding you. This is how you get where from God is some God afar off that you hope exists to God is with you. That's right there. Your best and ever friend. And then it becomes even more and more and more, and it becomes where he is just working through you, and you feel that oneness with him.
I remember, I think I gave this testimony a while ago. When I was actually the time I first came out from high school, I was very young in every way you can describe it at that time compared to now. Anyway, I traveled to a very far place where my elder brother was living in another country. And that country is still very nice. So some of you know I lived there for a while. The Benin Republic. They don't know God very well. There's a Catholic dominant nation. And they practice a lot of witchcraft there too. And I didn't know that when I came there, but I found out what that country is, and a lot of people told me about them. And I didn't know anything about all these beliefs. That's all. I don't know how wicked it could be. But I saw the wickedness firsthand, even as a young person that doesn't know much actually, or how to handle them. One night I was sleeping, it was in the middle of the night, I couldn't sleep. I felt this attack on me. And then nobody was home. I was left out because my brother wasn't home. And then my body started shaking, I started sweating, and then I was so I felt I couldn't even get up. I felt like I was trapped down on my bed. And luckily to me, my Bible was next to me. I was with my Bible next to me. And I couldn't even get up to turn the lights on. But God is probably having a little idea about this country too, because she didn't come far away from it. She was even closer to them than I am. So, maybe. Then, I was so strapped down to my bed by this wicked thought. I started praying in my heart, because my heart was strong, really. I started praying in my heart, and something told me if I can reach out to my Bible, I will be okay. And the radio I was listening to, I stopped playing, but the red lights coming out from the radio was still on. Then I reached out to my Bible, and I opened my Bible. I opened my Bible. I put it next to the radio to see, because I couldn't turn the lights on with the red light coming from the radio. And the first thing that flashed on was on the
Isaiah 41.
Isaiah 41 verse 10. And I read it, fear thou not, for I am with thee. Be not dismayed, for I am thy God. I will strengthen thee, yea, I will help thee. Yea, I will uphold thee with the right hand of my righteousness. I closed that Bible. It came immediately. It wasn't like less than a second. I slept like a child. All the fear, everything was gone. The next time I knew it was the next morning. I didn't even know when my brother and his friends came home. I was sleeping.
Well, thank you. And that's the power of these truths when applied. And make no mistake, when you're traveling, are going to feel atmosphere, and it always has to be handled. You know, we would travel together as a church group years ago, and would go to various places, and we always, everywhere we went, it's not, oh, whoop-de-doo, God is love, everything's lovely. No, we had to pray and establish the atmosphere and make sure that our atmosphere was the one of God and dominating, because you will feel thoughts of others, and you do, if you're at all mental, when we are mental. It's nothing to fear, but it is something to contend with and to handle. And I never knew this. I never knew it till I met Mrs. Evans. I would travel and sometimes get sick or feel weird or other things, and I just thought I didn't like to travel. You have to be aware of what's around you. And yes, it is all in your consciousness, and you handle it that way, but you've also got to make sure you know you have to handle it. Otherwise, you will be handled by it.
You have to recognize that there is a battle going on, and you have to be willing to be a warrior. Something that took me a long time to accept.
And Mrs. Evans would say that there were certain countries she would not go to for that reason.
And there are certain cities in the United States of America that I won't go to for that reason.
So, whatever's your duty to do, you can do without harm to yourself. And if it's your duty to go somewhere, you can. But to just go idly or because you're looking for vacation or some other reason, and you're entering into an area known for its immorality or whatever else, you're going to feel it, and you're going to have to deal with it. Make no mistake about it, and that's true. Why this beautiful verse, and it says, "Behold, all they that were incensed against thee shall be ashamed and confounded. They shall be as nothing, and they that strive with thee shall perish." What are these things that are striving with you? Negative, wicked thoughts.
Full thoughts.
Yes. It's not necessarily people coming with pitchforks. Not necessarily. Maybe in David's time it might have been.
But the more useful you become for God, the more you recognize that it is the Antichrist, the opposition to the Christ, and the thought that would try to impose itself upon a Christly thought.
This is so true. Go ahead.
Oh, you go ahead.
Well, I'm just remembering one place I went that I couldn't wait to get out of there, and now I understand why. Thank God for the practical teaching of Christian Science. I had just started to learn from, the Plainfield teachings, and now I see why. I couldn't wait, and I know I will never go back there.
There you go. It's your spiritual sense. And some of the most beautiful places can be the worst.
Yeah, to the eyes.
Yeah, beautiful to the eyes, right. But the decadence, or what's going on there, I know we were once in this, it was just such a beautiful place, and I was so uneasy. It was all I could do. I couldn't sleep, and I was so glad to get out of there. I just felt something not right. And at that point, it was a vacation, so why expose myself to that? Yeah. And that's so true about so many places. That's why, travel isn't always all that it is made out to be. If it's right and you need to travel, that's fine, and I'm not being critical of that, but I know for myself, and the higher I go, the less I can.
God's good.
God's good. Excuse us for a moment.
Yeah.
God is right here. All right. That's good. All right. That's good. All right. Nothing but good is going on. God's child is in his love right now. Only good is going on.
One of our members has just been under attack, vicious attack. So I'd like everybody to pray now for the next 5 minutes to protect every member of this church who is doing God's work.
Go to the bathroom.
Bucket or something.
Came through. So, this is what this is about, and we must be aware of how the air would work. Tremendous opposition all week. Many of us were attacked, especially here in this church, too. Are sin, disease, and death real? And we can laugh and know that it is unreal, and we are not afraid of whatever it tries to do or say, because it isn't the truth. God is surrounding us in his love. And, as I said, anything that would rise up against us, God is there for us to destroy. We are in his love and in his care. Yes, please.
Verse 11 said, "What rise against thee, be shamed and confounded, it shall be as nothing. They that strive with you shall perish." At first reading, I felt kind of, wow, that's mean. But and that I was being it's kind of hard for me to digest it. But I realize that that's not God doing it. It's error's own verdict on itself, basically. You know, its end is that it will do all these things. It'll be ashamed. And it can't do anything to good. Can't confound it. Can't confuse it. And at the end, it will destroy itself. So I shouldn't feel like I'm being this mean man to expect that.
No, you can be grateful and rejoice that error destroys itself.
Yeah, you have to go out quiet. If you have to go bang,
Nope.
We want error to perish. We are not nice to error. It's a fallacy. That's why we had that watch Thursday night. Those indulging in error and who hang on to it will be condemned and go down with it. We are not nice to error. We cannot be. Error is not nice to us, and it needs that toughness and strength. A short sentence we've been given and I work with often is, God's law of divine justice is in full and complete operation. The wicked shall not go unpunished. All you need to know. You don't have to think about who or what or why. It's not who or what or why. It's animal magnetism. But it will not go unpunished. How could it? If you leave God, you're in a very unsafe spot. And that error will go back on itself and destroy itself. So, okay, now, the beautiful 91st Psalm, which sometime we will have a Bible study on that. Again, we had one a few years ago. So, and it's interesting because I've asked most of the people that I work with to memorize it, and a few of you have said, oh, I can't memorize that, it's way too long. But my point is that some of those same people can remember all the terrible history of their past in quite a lot of detail. So why can you remember that, but you can't memorize the 91st Psalm?
Oh, yes, you can, because we were made to do it when we were children.
Yes.
It's all on the mortal mind saying all that mess.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. So, we can know, and it's a wonderful thing to have with you, because sometimes maybe you're out somewhere, you don't have your book. And just to say those passages to you. Now, Faith and Peter did a beautiful rendition, singing of it, and it's beautiful. That sometimes goes through my mind. But there's not one thing in here that is not handled.
And why is Mary making this point? What is so good about the 91st Psalm? As Christian scientists, it's our job in the world today
turn completely to God for strength and protection. And the wonderful promise all through that time of safety and success. You know, it's great if you can't sleep.
Yeah, it handles animal magnetism. It handles error. It tells us how. It's not just nice words. I mean, it is lovely. It's very comforting. But it handles animal magnetism.
Give all the credit to God. Yes. And you know, at the end, the last three verses, you realize what it's saying. It's God speaking, and he's saying, because, I will say it this way, because you have set your love upon me, God, therefore I will deliver you. I will set you on high, because you have known my name. You shall call upon me, and I will answer you. I will be with you in trouble. I will deliver you and honor you. And with a long life, will I satisfy you and show you my salvation. That is what God does for the faithful. He's doing it for you. And as our golden text says, the Lord is my light and my salvation. Whom shall I fear? The Lord is the strength of my life. Of whom shall I be afraid? We don't look to the body for our strength. We don't look to anything else but God. When we're knowing first thing in the morning that God is your mind and then God is your life, the only life, He is the strength of your life. He's the strength of your heart. He's the strength of your body. He's the strength of your thought. He is your strength entirely. And in that strength, there is great protection and power and every good thing that you need. So remember that. And remember, too, this simple lesson. Spend more time thinking about the 91st Psalm than you do on your past history or your complaints in life, and you will memorize it easily.
I was thinking, God was giving this to a whole nation of people at that time. And we saw the result at the conquering Saran. Maybe if he can work for a whole nation of people, maybe it will work for me.
It will. Yes, it will. And it does. And it handles everything. You know, even he shall give his angels charge over thee to keep thee in all thy ways. Remember that. And they shall bear thee up in their hands, lest thou dash thy foot against a stone. Now that goes with, in science and health, that accidents are unknown to God or immortal mind, and we must leave the mortal basis of belief, and unite with the one mind in order to change the notion of can to the proper sense of God's unerring direction, and thus bring out harmony. Think of that. You know, in Watches, Prayers, and Arguments, in so many of her watches, she has to handle every day the belief in accidents. And I know many who start in science seem to have a lot of accidents. I've heard people say they're accident prone. So as you progress in science, then what happens?
A lie has to drop off.
The lie has to drop off. Fewer accidents. You never accept this belief that you're accident prone or, you know, something. No. When you're in the human mind, yeah, you can be bumbling all over the place. But once you rise up out of that and you're asking God for His unerring direction, all those beliefs should pass away. I used to wonder sometimes, even as a child, some of my friends, I don't know, they seem to be having accidents or various things, and it was accepted, a way of life. Just something that happened. You know, children would fall down and this and that. No, you don't accept that. We were taught here if somebody falls down, you handle animal magnetism, which is a belief that there's a power apart from God, but you don't accept it. And you'll find as you rise up and get out of that mortal human sense of things, those accidents will stop. Not only you will stop having them, you will also stop even seeing them. Because they're not part of God's kingdom or creation. So.
And the thought of being in that secret place of the Most High, in God all the time, I mean, what can enter there? Nothing.
Nothing. Yes. So, now in Science and Health, let's see. Craig, can you read number 2? Thank you.
Step by step will those who trust Him find that God is our refuge and strength, a very present help in trouble.
Thank you. Now, step by step, what is that? What does this passage mean to some of you haven't spoken yet? It's been quiet today.
Means in your journey you find this truth as you go along by overcoming the small things that may come to you, the small problems. You don't have to know everything right away, but based on your own experience, as you overcome small obstacles, that's how you come to this understanding.
Thank you.
Very good.
Yes.
We don't all leap into the kingdom of heaven in one giant leap. We don't learn everything there is to know about God in one reading of the textbook. It's a lifelong journey. And we need to have patience as well as perseverance.
Thank you.
Step by step could also mean what we are giving up. I think it's a step forward. We are giving up, believe in medicine, things like that, some people's closet, kinds of medication, limited time, more in God, one step.
Thank you very much. We spoke about that yesterday. It's just a falling away. As you rise up, these other things just fall away, whether it's the belief of accidents or you're on medications or you have an anger problem or poverty, whatever it is. It's just as you rise up, allergies, they fall away as you leave that false sense of life, because it is.
Also, step by step means we have to be willing to take steps. We're not going to sort of get to a plateau and then not have to do anything, which I know is a temptation that comes to many of us often. Well, I've done enough already. Well, no. If you are really pursuing the truth, there will be opportunities for you to take steps, to make changes in your life, to move. I mean, a whole bunch of us moved to Plainfield from long distances many years ago, and that was a big step for a lot of people. But that's the kind of thing we have to be willing to take steps. God directs.
Absolutely. Thank you very much.
I think
Reminds me of that saying about if you don't move, you become a target.
Yes.
Error can't hit a moving target.
Yes.
also the idea of Kimball, I think, says that make each problem a step that you can stand on to go higher into God. I love that.
Thank
Good.
you. Beautiful.
Very good.
I like if you love more. There's always something or someone that needs to love Christian Science. You never run out of things to do.
Thank you. And no one can do it for you. You have to do it. You have to take steps. Yeah, no one can take steps for you. You've got to take those steps. You have to do it. And what is that? There's one light enough or one step enough for me. You always have one light enough to take the next step. Because sometimes you feel like you can't go on. But there's always light enough to take that next step. You just take that next step, and then there'll be a little more light to help you take the next step. But keep moving. Be it slow or fast, up to thee. You keep taking those steps. ERA works as a paralysis. It wants to get you paralyzed so you do nothing. That's when you've got to say, I see what you're trying to say to me, and I'm going to get up and do something. Whatever it is, I can do something. So,
even when we talk about kingdom of God, I don't think it can be thrown on our lap. I don't think he will be thrown on our lap. We have to take steps. We have to work for it. When the Bible says, they call it application for it, but it says, the kingdom of God suffers violence, and only the violence take it by force. Sometimes what kind of push yourself these things that your body doesn't like if you're on medication, if you're afraid that if you leave it for a week, you're going to relax or something in the body. Yeah? Do it. Take that step, and you will see you will never go back to it.
That's the trust in God. But again, following Him. And if you even have to take baby steps, that's okay. Whatever you do, just keep moving. And the other thing I found is in this step-by-step, it's also focusing. Focus on the moment. You know, air will come to you, and it'll say, well, what's going to happen tomorrow? Or, I got to go to work tomorrow. I got to do this. Or what's going to happen in an hour from now? Or it's just always pushing you. Or telling you to think about the past. And look what happened last week. Happened last week, it'll happen again. Whoa, 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 whoa. Shut up. Shut it up and shut it down. The only way to do that is to focus on what you're doing. Right now, you are okay. Right now, you focus on whatever it is God has given you to do. And you shut out all those other voices because it's relentless if you let it in. It doesn't matter what's going to happen an hour from now. You know, when you're thinking about an hour from now, you're not appreciating the moment that you are in. You are losing your oneness with the Father. I find it so helpful because I find that's one of the main ways Era tries to work, is to try to get you worried about either the past or the future and not focusing on now. Doesn't matter. Whatever you need to know, and you will find this to be true, whatever you need to know. If you need to know something in an hour, well, you'll know it when you need to know it. If you need to know something for tomorrow, you'll know it when you need to know it. But to be pressed or worried or whatever doesn't help. It'll come.
In fact, it harms. And that's why Jesus told the guy, be of good cheer. Stop worrying. Stop fretting.
And it's also the mean way that it makes you think that your perfection is in the future, not now.
Yeah.
Yep.
Someone said it's not going to get any better than it is right now. So let's just claim it here, okay? Let's just bring it on. Let's enjoy this moment. Because that's true. It is. You're perfect in God right now, right this moment. And then I got a big kick this morning out of our daily calendar, which says, Theodore Roosevelt, if you could kick the person in the pants responsible for most of your trouble, you wouldn't sit for a month. So let's just remember and be a good friend to ourselves.
And that was Teddy Roosevelt.
And that was Teddy Roosevelt. So we will rejoice. Lillian's rejoicing. All is well. We pass through tribulation with God on our side, at our side. That's how it is. We're not without problems, but we meet them with His power and presence of the Lord Almighty. And He's always with us, as this lesson says over and over again. And anything else is a waking dream shadow, a dark image of mortal thought, which flees before the light of truth. And Gary will end with page 495 of Recapitulation in Science and Health.
When the illusion of sickness or sin tempts you, cling steadfastly to God and His idea. Allow nothing but His likeness to abide in your thought. Let neither fear nor doubt overshadow your clear sense and calm trust that the recognition of life harmonious as life eternally is can destroy any painful sense of or belief in that which life is not. Let Christian Science, instead of corporeal sense, support your understanding of being, and this understanding will supplant error with truth, replace mortality with immortality, and silence discord with harmony.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good class. Good session.
Thank you.
Good morning. Let's begin our service by singing hymn number 326. The Christian warrior, see him stand in all the armor of his God. The Spirit's sword is in his hand. His feet are with the gospel shod. Hymn number 326. The scriptural this morning will be given by Bruce from New Jersey.
I will read from Colossians. We give thanks to God and the Father of our Lord Jesus Christ, who hath delivered us from the power of darkness, and hath translated us into the kingdom of his dear Son, who is the image of the invisible God, the firstborn of every creature. For by him were all things created that are in heaven and that are in earth, visible and invisible. For it pleased the Father that in him should all fullness dwell. And you that were sometime alienated and enemies in your mind by wicked works, yet now hath he reconciled, to present you holy and unblameable and unreprovable in his sight, if ye continue in the faith, grounded and settled, and be not moved away from the hope of the gospel, which ye have heard, even the mystery which hath been hid from ages and from generations, but now is made manifest to his saints, to whom God would make known what is the riches of the glory of this mystery among the Gentiles, which is Christ in you, the hope of glory.
We will now have a moment of silent prayer and then follow with the Lord's Prayer and its spiritual interpretation as given in the Christian Science textbook. Our Father, which art in heaven. Our Father, Mother, God, all harmonious. Hallowed be thy name. Adorable One. Thy kingdom come. Thy kingdom is come. Thou art ever present. Thy will be done in earth as it is in heaven. Enable us to know, as in heaven, so on earth, God is omnipotent, supreme. Give us this day our daily bread. Give us grace for today. Feed the famished affections. And forgive us our debts, as we forgive our debtors. And love is reflected in love. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. And God leadeth us not into temptation, but delivereth us from sin, disease, and death. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory, forever. For God is infinite, all power, all life, truth, love, over all and all. Let us now sing hymn number 195. Not what I am, O Lord, but what thou art. That alone can be my soul's true rest. Thy love, not mine, bids fear and doubt depart, and stills the tumult of my troubled breast. Hymn number 195. Welcome to the Plainfield Christian Science Church Independent. This is our Sunday morning service, April 9, 2017. We begin each Sunday morning here at 10 a.m. with our roundtable discussion, which is a training session in Christian Science. We also have a testimony meeting every Wednesday evening at 8:15 p.m., where you can hear testimonies of healings and lives changed through the study and practice of Christian Science. Also on Sundays at 11 a.m., we have a Sunday school for children, and that class is conducted via teleconference. So no matter where you live, if your child would like to attend a Sunday school, just call us and we'll give you the number, and your child will be most welcome. And for all of our services, we have a nursery available for infants and toddlers. And you can find us not only here in Plainfield, New Jersey, but also on our website, plainfieldcs.com. And you can find us, we have a channel on YouTube, and you can find us on SoundCloud, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And you can listen to our service either on our website or on YouTube or from your telephone via a teleconference number that we provide. Featured on our website is an article by Edward A. Kimball entitled, "Error Appears But to Disappear." So if your reaction to problems is to complain, read this article. It'll give you something good to think about. We will have another Bible study session next Saturday at 10 a.m. So check our website for the study questions, and please join us next Saturday morning at 10 a.m. Everyone is welcome here, and that includes all of you who are listening and participating from around the world. We will now have the reading of a testimony from the chapter entitled Fruitage in Science and Health, which attests to the healing power obtained just by reading the Christian Science textbook. And that reading will be given this morning by Craig from Plainfield.
Page 686 of Science and Health, chapter Fruitage. Healed physically and spiritually. I had been taking medicine continually for many years. Finally, I was taken suddenly ill and could not leave my room for about 2 months. Then I went away for 3 months, thinking that I should come back and be able to continue my work. I improved very much, but the fear of quick consumption was with my doctor and my family and friends, and I was warned about the coming winter. Only too soon the fear manifested itself. I had worked just 3 weeks when all the pains and aches returned, and I had to go to bed. And as soon as I got home, so there was no pleasure in living. My employer advised me to see my physician, and perhaps I should not work that winter. I then and there turned to Christian Science. I could not afford to give up work and live away from home. Neither did I want to depend on doctors and medicine any longer. I took the book and read it on my way to work. And at noon, I lay down on a couch instead of going out for luncheon and fell asleep. When I awoke, I was a different person. All pains and aches had gone away, and I was free. I was so happy I could hardly contain myself. To material sense, it was wonderful. As I walked, I kept saying, "Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful," and tried to understand the scientific statement of being by repeating portions at a time, then pondering over them. I read the book 4 times in succession, and every time I found more and more to aid in the understanding. This healing was in October 1901, with no other help than science and health. And soon I was relieved of other chronic ailments. In February, I was able to put away eyeglasses, which I had worn 10 years and a half for astigmatism. Occultus Oculus told me I would always have to wear them. A month later, my father asked me to help him, as he was suffering so much from consumption, dyspepsia, and neuralgia. He had been subsisting on bran, nearly starving himself until he was most miserable, and his limbs seemed so cold that they were kept wrapped in blankets. I felt very humble as he asked me, and told him I would have a practitioner help him, as I had never treated anyone. But he would not consent to have anyone but myself, and I finally told him I would try, but that he must not hold to science responsible if he were not benefited for my lack of understanding, and not science would be at fault. At my request, he read Science and Health, ate whatever he wanted, and used no medicine in any form. After 2 treatments, I received word from him that he was healed of that bondage of 30 years standing. In view of all these signs which followed my acceptance of Christian Science, I knew it must be true. RLA, Chicago, Illinois.
The lesson sermon for this morning can be found on page 4 of the Independent Christian Science Quarterly. Subject: Are sin, disease, and death real? The golden text is from Psalms. The Lord is my light and my salvation. Whom shall I fear? The Lord is the strength of my life. Of whom shall I be afraid? The responsive reading is from Psalms. Though an host should encamp against me, my heart shall not fear. Though war should rise against me, in this will I be confident. One thing have I desired of the Lord, that will I seek after, that I may dwell in the house of the Lord all the days of my life, to behold the beauty of the Lord, and to inquire in his temple. For in the time of trouble he shall hide me in his pavilion. In the secret of his tabernacle shall he hide me. He shall set me up upon a rock. When thou saidst, Seek ye my face, my heart said unto thee, Thy face, Lord, will I seek. Teach me thy way, O Lord, and lead me in a plain path, because of mine enemies. I had fainted unless I had believed to see the goodness of the Lord in the land of the living. Wait on the Lord, be of good courage, and he shall strengthen thine heart. Wait, I say, on the Lord. Day from Georgia will read from the Bible.
I will read from the Bible. Isaiah. Thus saith the Lord that created thee, O Jacob, and he that formed thee, O Israel. Fear thou not, for I am with thee. Be not dismayed, for I am thy God. I will strengthen thee, yea, I will help thee. Yea, I will uphold thee with the right hand of my righteousness. Behold, all they that were incensed against thee shall be ashamed and confounded. They shall be as nothing, and they that strive with thee shall perish. Thou shalt seek them, and shalt not find them, even them that contended with thee. They that war against thee shall be as nothing, and as a thing of naught. For I, the Lord thy God, will hold thy right hand, saying unto thee, Fear not, I will help thee. When the poor and needy seek water, and there is none, and their tongue faileth for thirst, I, the Lord, will hear them. I, the God of Israel, will not forsake them. I will open rivers in high places, and fountains in the midst of the valleys. I will make the wilderness a pool of water, and the dry land springs of water. I will plant in the wilderness the cedar, the shittim tree, and the myrtle, and the oil tree. I will set in the desert the fir tree, and the pine, and the box tree together, that they may see, and know, and consider, and understand together, that the hand of the Lord hath done this, and the Holy One of Israel hath created it. Exodus. For I am the Lord that healeth thee. Matthew. And when Jesus was come into Peter's house, he saw his wife's mother laid and sick of a fever. And he touched her hand, and the fever left her. And she arose and ministered unto them. When the even was come, they brought unto him many that were possessed with devils. And he cast out the spirits with his word, and healed all that were sick, that it might be fulfilled which was spoken by Isaiah the prophet, saying, Himself took our infirmities, and bare our sicknesses. And he entered into a ship, and passed over, and came into his own city. And behold, they brought to him a man sick of the palsy, lying on a bed. And Jesus, seeing their faith, said unto the sick of the palsy, Son, be of good cheer, thy sins be forgiven thee. And behold, certain of the scribes said within themselves, This man blasphemeth. And Jesus, knowing their thoughts, said, Wherefore think ye evil in your hearts? For whether is easier to say, Thy sins be forgiven thee, or to say, Arise and walk? But that ye may know that the Son of Man hath power on earth to forgive sins. Then saith he to the sick of the palsy, Arise, take up thy bed, and go unto thine house. And he arose, and departed to his house. But when the multitude saw it, they marveled, and glorified God, which had given such power unto men. Luke. And it came to pass the day after, that he went into a city called Nain, and many of his disciples went with him, and much people. Now when he came nigh to the gate of the city, behold, there was a dead man carried out, the only son of his mother, and she was a widow. and much people of the city was with her. And when the Lord saw her, he had compassion on her, and said unto her, Weep not. And he came and touched the bier, and they that bare him stood still. And he said, Young man, I say unto thee, arise. And he that was dead sat up, and began to speak. And he delivered him to his mother. Psalms. He that dwelleth in the secret place of the Most High shall abide under the shadow of the Almighty. I will say of the Lord, He is my refuge and my fortress. My God, in Him will I trust. Surely He shall deliver thee from the snare of the fowler, and from the noisome pestilence. He shall cover thee with His feathers, and under His wings shalt thou trust. He shall be thy shield and buckler. Thou shalt not be afraid for the terror by night, nor for the arrow that flieth by day, nor for the pestilence that walketh in darkness, nor for the destruction that wasteth at noonday. 1,000 shall fall at thy side, and 10,000 at thy right hand, but it shall not come nigh thee. Only with thine eyes shalt thou behold and see the reward of the wicked. Because thou hast made the Lord, which is my refuge, even the Most High thy habitation, there shall no evil befall thee, neither shall any plague come nigh thy dwelling. For he shall give his angels charge over thee, to keep thee in all thy ways. They shall bear thee up in their hands, lest thou dash thy foot against a stone. Thou shalt tread upon the lion and adder, the young lion and the dragon shalt thou trample under feet. Because he hath set his love upon me, therefore will I deliver him. I will set him on high, because he hath known my name. He shall call upon me, and I will answer him. I will be with him in trouble. I will deliver him and honor him. With long life will I satisfy him and show him my salvation.
Carol from New Jersey will now read.
I will read correlative passages from the Christian Science textbook, Science and Health with Key to the Scriptures, by Mary Baker Eddy. Christian scientific practice begins with Christ's keynote of harmony: be not afraid. Step by step will those who trust Him find that God is our refuge and strength, a very present help in trouble. Christian Science silences human will, quiets fear with truth and love, and illustrates the unlabored motion of the divine energy in healing the sick. The power of Christian Science and divine love is omnipotent. It is indeed adequate to unclasp the hold and to destroy disease, sin, and death. To prevent disease or to cure it, the power of truth, of divine spirit, must break the dream of the material senses. To heal by argument, find the type of the ailment, get its name, and array your mental plea against the physical. Argue at first mentally, not audibly, that the patient has no disease, and conform the argument so as to destroy the evidence of disease. Mentally insist that harmony is the fact and that sickness is a temporal dream. Realize the presence of health and the fact of harmonious being until the body corresponds with the normal conditions of health and harmony. Every trial of our faith in God makes us stronger. The more difficult seems the material condition to be overcome by spirit, the stronger should be our faith and the purer our love. The Apostle John says, "There is no fear in love, but perfect love casteth out fear. He that feareth is not made perfect in love." Here is a definite and inspired proclamation of Christian Science. The Christian Scientist's argument rests on the Christianly scientific basis of being. The scripture declares, "The Lord, He is God, good. There is none else beside Him." Even so, harmony is universal, and discord is unreal. Christian Science declares that mind is substance, also that matter neither feels, suffers, nor enjoys. Hold these points strongly in view. Keep in mind the verity of being, that man is the image and likeness of God, in whom all being is painless and permanent. Remember that man's perfection is real and unimpeachable, whereas imperfection is blameworthy, unreal, and is not brought about by divine love. Matter cannot be inflamed. Inflammation is fear, an excited state of mortals which is not normal. Immortal mind is the only cause. Therefore, disease is neither a cause nor an effect. Mind in every case is the eternal God, good. Sin, disease, and death have no foundations in truth. Truth is affirmative and confers harmony. All metaphysical logic is inspired by this simple rule of truth, which governs all reality. By the truthful arguments you employ, and especially by the spirit of truth and love which you entertain, you will heal the sick. Include moral as well as physical belief in your efforts to destroy error. Cast out all manner of evil. Preach the gospel to every creature. Speak the truth to every form of error. Tumors, ulcers, tubercles, inflammation, pain, deformed joints are waking dream shadows, dark images of mortal thought, which flee before the light of truth. A moral question may hinder the recovery of the sick. Lurking error, lust, envy, revenge, malice, or hate will perpetuate or even create the belief in disease. Errors of all sorts tend in this direction. Your true course is to destroy the foe and leave the field to God, life, truth, and love, remembering that God and His ideas alone are real and harmonious. The time approaches when mortal mind will forsake its corporeal, structural, and material basis, when immortal mind and its formations will be apprehended in science, and material beliefs will not interfere with spiritual facts. Man is indestructible and eternal. Sometime it will be learned that mortal mind constructs the mortal body with this mind's own mortal materials. In science, no breakage nor dislocation can really occur. You say that accidents, injuries, and disease kill man, but this is not true. The life of man is mind. Accidents are unknown to God or immortal mind, and we must leave the mortal basis of belief and unite with the one mind in order to change the notion of chance to the proper sense of God's unerring direction and thus bring out harmony. Under divine providence, there can be no accidents, since there is no room for imperfection in perfection. If the body is diseased, this is but one of the beliefs of mortal mind. Mortal man will be less mortal when he learns that matter never sustained existence and can never destroy God, who is man's life. When this is understood, mankind will be more spiritual and know that there is nothing to consume, since Spirit, God, is all in all. What if the belief is consumption? God is more to a man than his belief, and the less we acknowledge matter or its laws, the more immortality we possess. Consciousness constructs a better body when faith in matter has been conquered. Correct material belief by spiritual understanding, and Spirit will form you anew. You will never fear again, except to offend God, and you will never believe that heart or any portion of the body can destroy you. Death is but another phase of the dream that existence can be material. Nothing can interfere with the harmony of being, nor end the existence of man in science. Called to the bed of death, what material remedy has man when all such remedies have failed? Spirit is his last resort, but it should have been his first and only resort. The dream of death must be mastered by mind, here or hereafter. Thought will waken from its own material declaration, I am dead, to catch this trumpet word of truth. There is no death, no inaction, diseased action, overaction, nor reaction. An improved belief cannot retrograde. When Christ changes a belief of sin or of sickness into a better belief, then belief melts into spiritual understanding, and sin, disease, and death disappear. Truth is always the victor.
Let us now have a moment of silent prayer for our brethren in the Middle East and for our world. We will now sing hymn number 30. The words of this hymn are by Mary Baker Eddy. Brood o'er us with thy sheltering wing, 'neath which our spirits blend, like brother birds that soar and sing, and on the same branch bend. The arrow that doth wound the dove darts not from those who watch and love. Hymn number 30.
we move in to the Passion this week, I thought I would offer this song.
Down the Via Dolorosa in Jerusalem that day, the soldiers tried to clear the narrow streets, but the crowd pressed in to see the man condemned to die on Calvary. He was bleeding from a beating. There were stripes upon his back, and he wore a crown of thorns upon his head. And he bore with every step the scorn of those who cried out for his death. Down the Via Dolorosa, called the way of suffering, like a lamb came the Messiah, Christ the King. But he chose to walk that road out of his love for you and me. Down the Via Dolorosa, all the way to Calvary. Por la Via Dolorosa, triste día en Jerusalén, los soldados la abrían paso a Jesús, mas la gente se acercaba para ver que llevaba aquella cruz. Por la Via Dolorosa, que es la vía del dolor, como en vino Cristo, Rey Señor, y fue él que quiso ir por su amor, por ti, por mí, por la Via Dolorosa a Calvary morí. The blood that would cleanse the souls of all men made its way through the heart of Jerusalem. Down the Via Dolorosa, called the way of suffering, like a lamb came the Messiah, Christ the King. But he chose to walk that road out of his love for you and me. Down the Via Dolorosa, all the way to Calvary. Ooh.
Let's now sing hymn number 164. Joy to the world, the Lord is come. Let earth receive her King. Let every heart prepare him room, and heaven and nature sing. Hymn number 164.
I will read from the Christian Science textbook, The Scientific Statement of Being, and the correlative passages from 1 John, 3rd chapter. There is no life, truth, intelligence, nor substance in matter. All is infinite mind and its infinite manifestation, for God is all in all. Spirit is immortal truth. Matter is mortal error. Spirit is the real and eternal. Matter is the unreal and temporal. Spirit is God, and man is his image and likeness. Therefore, man is not material. He is spiritual. Behold, what manner of love the Father hath bestowed upon us, that we should be called the sons of God. Therefore the world knoweth this not, because it knew him not. Beloved, now are we the sons of God, and it doth not yet appear what we shall be. But we know that, when he shall appear, we shall be like him, for we shall see him as he is. And every man that hath this hope in him purifieth himself, even as he is pure. Now our Lord Jesus Christ and God our Father comfort your hearts and establish you in every good word and work. Amen.